Hey scumbags, Andrew Fantasia here, and welcome back to the Summer of Legends here on High Ground on the Rebel Scum Podcast Network. Welcome back. Last episode, I wasn't really dressed summer appropriate, was I? And it doesn't even look like I am now. Let's remedy that. There we go. Now that's summertime. I've even got a mango. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. So last time on the Summer of Legends, I showed you all of my Legends fiction paperbacks, and I went through them and told you how I felt, and I was kind of a negative Nancy. I was a grumpy Gus, because they weren't really my favorite books I've ever read. But that's okay, because starting now, I'm going to be showing you some books that definitely are. We are taking a deep dive into the mid-90s as I show you some of the very first Star Wars books that ever graced these baby brown eyes. We're talking about the essential guides, and we are starting with vehicles. Here they come, the boys in the bright white Death Star, waving their arms in the air. Why waste any more time? Let's crack this open, and I'll show you the delights waiting inside. So this, for me, is where it all started, folks. This was my very first Star Wars reference book. My first Star Wars book that wasn't a coloring book was this right here. The Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels. This is by Bill Smith with illustrations by Doug Chiang, woo! And the schematics are by someone named Troy Vigil. Good job, Troy. You don't get enough credit for your schematics. This is the Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels. Let's take a look at what this looks like. Now, this was made in 1995. Am I right? I'm wrong. 1996. We can add another notch in my being wrong belt. This is before the special editions. So they had this old timeline, which I think is really interesting because this is before they were using BBY, before the Battle of Yavin and after the Battle of Yavin. Instead, they called it before SW4, before Star Wars 4, after Star Wars 4. That's pretty funny. That clearly doesn't happen anymore. And then we go through here. We've got a guide to the technology. So it talks about, hey, what is a cannon, whatever that says, common technology. See, I have bad eyesight. What is weaponry? What's all this? And it tells you what all that is. And then it even tells you the major manufacturers. And it goes through like, ooh, look at this. Core Galaxy Systems. What do they make? They make this dummy. You can read about it on whatever page. And it goes through all of those manufacturers. Kuat Systems Engineering. Kuat's a big one. Kuat makes a lot of the Star Destroyers and things like that. Kuat Drive Yards. Incom Corporation, they make the Rebel ships. It goes through all of those in these nice little paragraphs. As you can see so far, not a visually great book so far. And bear that in mind. So now we get to the meat of it, and here we start getting the pictures. And here's our first page. It's in glorious alphabetical order. So we got the AT-AT Walker, and there's our Doug Chiang drawing, and there's our Troy Vigil schematics. And then you've got this great little text about it, and it gives you a sort of run through of the story, when it was used in the story. So, you know, Battle of Hoth and then whatever else. And then a run through in the middle of all the specs, like, hey, look, this thing has, the main weapons are 2 heavy laser cannons. Isn't that nifty? And there you go. So we start off with our AT-AT, and yeah, that's what it's called. It's not called an AT-AT, because if it was called an AT-AT, then this would be called an AT-PT. And I don't think that's what they had in mind when they created it. This is the AT-PT. This was not very popular, but I'll tell you what was, the AT-ST, or the AT-ST. And as you can see, you'll notice as we go through these, because this is such an old book, there's going to be a lot of ships that are like, those don't really matter anymore in the grand scheme of things. And that's what I find so interesting about these old books, is seeing what continued on, things like this, and what didn't continue on. For example, maybe things like the A9 Vigilance. What's that? I don't know. It's not important anymore, I guess, because of canon and legends and all that. I see the word New Republic, which means, yeah, it's definitely from legend stories that are no longer canon. There's our A-Wing. If you read the Alphabet Squadron books, you know Will Lark flies an A-Wing. And see, there's a boat. When's the last time we had a Star Wars boat? I'll tell you when. It was the gondola in Attack of the Clones. There's our boat. And that skimmer thing that Rey uses in Rise of Skywalker. I forgot about that. So look, that boat's not around anymore. There's a nice B-wing. And again, very detailed schematics here. Carrick Cruiser. I don't know what that is. I couldn't tell you. But as you can see, visually a very dry book. Even the text is dry. I managed to get through it because even when I was 10 years old or whatever, when I got this, I liked this kind of stuff. So I didn't mind too much that it was dry. But it's you know, compared to these days, you don't really find a whole lot of entertainment in this book unless you're a hardcore sweaty nerd like I am and you just love this stuff. Chew-1Thor. This is a cool looking ship. Look, it's all flat. It's a flat ship. It looks like a ship from Space Invaders. Like literally like it got pulled out of the arcade. And now it's not canon anymore. There's your cloak-shaped fighter. And it's fascinating to see how many of these ships just didn't make the cut, didn't continue being popular. Cloud City, I guess you can count it as a ship. I mean, I guess. This is cool. There's a cloud car from Cloud City, but it's a combat cloud car. It's not the twin pod that we saw in Empire. That's later in the book. But that's one of my favorite looking ships. Look how sexy that looks. I want 9 of those. I want an army of those things. And we got other things like Coral Vanda. There's Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. There's Dash Rendar's Outrider, a great up-close and personal look of how different it is from the Millennium Falcon, because I couldn't tell the difference the first time I saw it. But yeah, it's a different ship, same manufacturer. It's like the difference between a Mercedes 2018 and Mercedes 2019. Really neat stuff. Death Star. Yeah, that counts as a ship. It's a big old thing. And you got Death Star 2. Again, nice drawing, nice schematic. Then this was interesting. This is definitely from Legends. Death Star prototype. Apparently they built a prototype beforehand and it's just girders and stuff. That's a thing. That was a thing. The Desert Skiff. I love the Desert Skiffs. As we keep going through, we got a Dreadnought. That's a very plain looking ship. E-Wing fighter. Now this is neat. This definitely didn't stick around. There's no E-Wings anymore. I wonder if there ever will be though. Because it's nice to keep adding to the alphabet squadrons. This is one of my favorite Legends ships. The Eclipse. You know what? It is my favorite Legends ship. The Eclipse Star Destroyer. All black, scary. Palpatine was on it. Bring that back. That should have been in Rise of Skywalker, man. That's a weird looking ship. Enforcer 1. See, we don't get these anymore. Escape pods. That's cool. I would forget to include escape pods, but they absolutely should have their own page. Expanded B-Wing. That's where you really get into the technical stuff. Executor. Very nice classic ship. Flurry. Now this was cool because as I was flipping through this earlier, I noticed, what does that look like? That looks an awful lot like the Eravana from Force Awakens, doesn't it? That looks like Solo's smuggling ship where he had his Rathtars. So it looks like they may have carried some stuff over. Guri's Stinger. Beautiful looking ship. I love ships that have these rounded edges. Great stuff. Didn't make the cut. The Hapen Consortium. They have their own ships which look very different from what we know. There's some more of their stuff. Very interesting looking things. The Hornet, that's weird. That doesn't look like Star Wars to me. I can understand why this didn't, you know, make the cut and stay popular. Hosk Station, that's very Star Warsy looking. Again, so much stuff from Legends. There's the Houndstooth, there's Bosk's ship. And again, what does that look like? Kind of looks like Rey's speeder, doesn't it? Very interesting. You can see the transition happening. You can see stuff carrying over from one to another. Hyperspace Marauder. Don't know what that is. That's something. That's somebody's thing. I-7 Howl Runner. That's kind of nice, actually. That's a cool... That ship looks like it could fit in like Rogue One or something. IG-88 ship. You don't see that too often. We got some landing craft here. That's nice. We got an Imperial Star Destroyer. Very nice. Incom T-16 Skyhopper. Probably the most fun ship name to say out loud. Just try it. Right now, say the words Incom T-16 Skyhopper out loud. I dare you. Then you got this thing here. You got the Interdictor Cruiser. Those were scary because they could pull you out of hyperspace. Another bug. See? Weird. This feels like a ship from like Dune or something to me. This doesn't really feel Star Warsy. Jabba the Hutt Sail Barge, the Katana, Jabba the Hutt Space Cruiser, which we never really see. And look, it's got like a laughing Hutt face. Isn't that clever? Jabba's got a good sense of humor. Sand Crawlers. Very nice. The Juggernauts, which, remember, this is 1996. We finally saw these ships in the flesh in 2005 in Revenge of the Sith. They were at the Battle of Kashyyyk. Very cool. I like that they recycle, reduce, reuse, baby. Lady Luck, that's Lando's ship. There's the Lambda Shuttle. Let's start breezing through this a little faster. Lancer Frigate. Lars family land speeder. That's Uncle Owen's speeder. And there's Luke's speeder. His is much nicer. And we got this little thing here, a Marauder Corvette. I don't know what that's all about. Master Arca. Don't know him or her. Millennium Falcon. There we go. That's kind of popular now. Carrick Cruiser. Very nice. See, just, now that's interesting. A walker that's a spider. I can kind of get behind that. I think that's kind of neat. And apparently those were used to go up mountains. That's why it's an MTAT. It's a mountain terrain armored transport. I like that. I'm not going to lie. That's cool. Nebulon Ranger. Okay. Prince Shizor's Virago. It opens and closes. I like that too. This should not be here. Probot. What's going on here? What is it? That's a droid. There should have been a droid book. I think there was a droid book. It's not a vehicle. I'm sorry. No, this shouldn't be here. There's the Rebel Blockade runner. I like that ship a lot. There's the one from the end of Empire Strikes Back. See, now we're getting into the R's, so we got all these Rebel ships. Rebel Transport, Rebel Snowspeeder, and now we got this interesting number. I don't know what's going on there. Shield ship. We kind of saw this Solar Sailor in Attack of the Clones, kind of took this concept and ran with it a bit more. Then you got these from the Cyrook. That's pretty neat. They have very unique looking ships. Here's a Slave One. Classic. I always thought it was weird that there was a ship called Slave 1 and we never saw a Slave 2, 3, 4, etc. Well, guess what? Look what's on the next page. Slave 2. Slave 2. And it's pretty wretched looking. It is a very boring looking ship. Maybe he's supposed to be undercover when he's on the Slave 2. I don't know, but damn, that is a boring looking ship. Speeder bike. All right, we're going to flip through these some more. There's the Cyruvi things. There's more Cyruvi. There's more Cyruvi. See, their ships have a very unique look to it. Starhome, that looks like a mobile city, which is very cool. Starlight Intruder, nice. Storm, okay, she makes weather in the X-Men. Sun Crusher, I remember that book. That was what Kip Duran stole. That was from the Jedi Academy trilogy. We got Swoops. We got S-Swoops. I like the S-Swoop better. We got Tafanda Bay tank droid. That's also a strange. That looks like that could be from like Warhammer 40,000 or something. That's an interesting looking droid. Then we got our ties. We got the bomber. We got the crawler. This was really cool. I'm surprised this didn't make a comeback in canon because this was neat. We got the Defender that Thrawn wanted to make, and we finally saw that in Rebels. Very nice. TIE D Fighter. I don't know what that's all about. That's new and exciting. Plain old TIE Fighter. Interceptor. Probably my favorite TIE. And then there's the Twin Cloud car that shot at the Falcon at Cloud City. There's a V-Wing. There's the Victory Star Destroyer, which I could never really tell the difference, except I think these are supposed to be smaller than Imperial ones, so the more you know. That's Talon Card's ship. World Devastators. I think these kind of were the precursor to what ended up being Operation Cinder. If you want to read more about World Devastators, check it out. But I think that's kind of interesting because it sounds like they kind of do the same thing that Operation Cinder did. And then there's the XP-38, which is the new and improved land speeder, and that's why Luke's is not in demand anymore. And there's this old boring thing that never amounted to anything. Just kidding, I love you. And there's the Y-Wing. And then there's also, last but not least, the Z-95 Headhunter, which is like an X-Wing, but it looks civilian. It doesn't look like it's for the military. And that's it. That is the essential guide to vehicles and vessels. It's essential, which means it could still be published during the pandemic. Now I'm going to show you the newer version. All right, ta-da! There is the new essential guide to vehicles and vessels. Already, you can see the difference. Now, this one is updated for Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and the New Jedi Order, which is the books with the Yuuzhan Vong invasion. So this is not up to date with Revenge of the Sith, because this came out in, I think, 2003 or 2004. But you can already see the difference just on the cover. Now, let's take a look inside and see how the difference is. This is by W. Hayden Blackman, and the illustrations are by Ian Fullwood. All right, so let's see what W and Ian have in store for us. Already, that's a nice title page already. Even this nice little border we got going on here with the page numbers and this little green thing, it looks so much cooler already. There's our table of contents with these icons. Nice upgrade. Then you've got this little thing of how to read the guide. It's color-coded when you get to the schematics. And then they have the section like before where they talk about technology. Here's what a hyperdrive looks like. Here's what a turbo laser looks like. Here's what a hero looks like. Remember the major manufacturers page in the old one? That's the major manufacturers page in the old one. That's how they looked. Now look at this. You've got logos for all of the companies, you got to see what their logos looked like. This blew my mind. This was my favorite part of this book. I remember cracking this open for the first time and seeing this and being like, I'm never closing this book again. Look just how cool they look. Look, the Incom Corporation is so proud of the X-Wing. They made it in their logo. And Kuat Drive Yards is apparently saving Hyrule from evil, one starship at a time. So good for them. That's multitasking. I want to work for the Oto Gunga Bunga Mechan Cooperative. They seem to have their stuff together. But this is just beautiful. This is a shape of what's to come in this book. And then there's other manufacturers that we couldn't fit here. Oh, and you'll see Yuuzhan Vong here. This is in the height of the Yuuzhan Vong stories in the Legends books. So you're going to see a lot of their ships in here. We've got the Aurubesh alphabet. Great little touch. All right, so right away, we're starting off with a Phantom Menace one. Look, we got the Armored Assault Tank. Very nice, beautiful drawing. Schematics are color-coded. Anakin's airspeeder. And you'll notice, too, they're doing something neat here. Every ship has a flavor text quote. If I have any people out there watching who play Magic the Gathering, my favorite part of Magic the Gathering is the flavor text on some of the cards because it can get really entertaining. And right here, we've got that for each ship. Here's Captain Tarpals reacting to seeing the AATs, saying, ouch time. That's right out of the movie. Anakin commenting on this, right out of the movie. Wonderful stuff. And then it goes into more detail of other air speeders. Like there's the one Zam Wessel had. AT-AT, AT-PT. To look at the difference again. How night and day it is. There's the AT-PT in the old one. And then here's the AT-PT in the new one. They really just amped up the flavors tenfold. It's magnificent. And we carry on here. We got some Republic ones now. Strange angle to draw the A-Wing from, but whatever, I'm down. We're still going to give you una bongo. And there's the line right there. The speediest way to the Naboo is going through the planet's core. Thank you, Boss Nass. I wouldn't have known that if he hadn't told us. There's the B-Wing looking... Ooh, that's a sexy ship. Look at that. The Chiss Clawcraft. Now, this is neat. This is Legends. So apparently the Chiss took the idea of the TIE Interceptor or whatnot, or the TIE Defender, and made their own version of it for the Chiss Ascendancy. And this is a great quote here. An anonymous Imperial engineer says, you have to admire the Chiss. They don't just steal your technology. They make it better. That's gorgeous. That I kind of wish we saw that kind of TIE fighter for the First Order instead of what we got in the movies. But that's really cool. And we got some other ones here, cloak shape. Just the drawings are, look how much they pop. Look how much the drawings pop. And then we start seeing some of the Yuuzhan Vong ships, which are really funky and cool because they're all organic. There's nothing industrial or artificial about them. Every ship is alive. All their weapons are alive. So you'll notice the Yuuzhan Vong ships, they got tubes, they got hair, they got skin. Really disturbing looking stuff, but it looks cool in a photo like this. Of course, we get lots of these Clone Wars droids. They're going to be showing up. There's that beautiful desert skiff that I cannot get enough of. Wish I had a toy of that. I don't think that ship gets enough credit for how cool it looks. It is simultaneously very different from what was in the original trilogy, but also very Star Warsy. And I really like the droid control ship. There's the droid starfighters. There's the Eclipse. God, that's beautiful. That is a beautiful ship. Why was that not in the movies? The E-Wing again. It'll be nice if we get to see the E-Wing because it just looks very classic Rebellion. The Executor. Flash Speeder. These are from Naboo. There's the Geonosian Starfighter, which you only see a little bit during the Battle of Geonosis, but they're neat. They got that very cool look to them. The Gaian Speeder. I think Captain Panaka flies one of those at one point. There's my favorite Separatist droid, the Hailfire. Very cool. Havoc. This was flown by the character Nim in the Star Wars... oh god, what was the game called? Starfighter. It's called Starfighter. That was a game. There's the Houndstooth again, looking even more like Rey's speeder now that we see it in color. Bosk. I think Rey has been infringing on your copyrights, sir. There's something called a Howl Runner. There's the IG-2000. Like, just look how beautiful these new images make the ships look. Like, these are great. Oh, I love seeing ships that are funky colors, not just like gray. This makes me happy. Interdictor Cruiser. Very cool stuff. There's the sail barge again. Jabeth. The story behind this ship is kind of cool. It's from a Legends book. And I think the ship is alive. It is a sentient creature, and Anakin finds it. And it has, according to a chart somewhere in this book that I can't remember where it is the fastest ship in Star Wars Legends because it's alive. So it's got some kind of funky thing about it. I don't know. Maybe we'll see the chart as we keep flipping. But yeah, this is faster than the Falcon, faster than anything else you can think of. This one had the fastest hyperdrive. There's Mara Jade's ship, the Jade Shadow. That is a very cool looking ship. There's the Jedi Starfighter. Very nice. That Juggernaut, again, great photos of these. I want posters of these. This is my favorite picture in this whole book. I love the way this looks. This is a K-Wing. Again, another cool looking rebel ship that we never really got in movies or TV shows. But God, that's a beautiful picture. The K-Wing. Somebody make it happen. Lady Luck. Luke's land speeder. I never get tired of seeing that. I love his land speeders so much. And again, more land speeders. Check that out. That is a speeder truck, which looks like what we got in Solo. Moloch was driving a truck with those dogs chained up inside it. Speaking of Solo, that's a great picture too. You can tell they really took their time on the Falcon, making it look nice and shiny. Carrick Cruiser, the home one. MTTs. Remember that action figure commercial around the Phantom Menace time when the kid was like, roll in the MTTs? That's what that always reminds me of. Oh, I love the way the Naboo ships look here. So this is the one from Attack of the Clones. Which might be my favorite looking Naboo ship. I can't remember. There's the one from Phantom Menace. Still very nice. There's the fighters from Phantom Menace. Great. The Outrider. That's Dash's ship. There's Padme's Starship, which I think is what she uses at the back half of Attack of the Clones and in Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, all those chrome ships are great. Pod racers. You can't not talk about pod racers if you're going to talk about vehicles and vessels now. This is a great little chart showing you just the shape and size. Not too much detail, but that's fine. You get the shape and size of everybody. Look how big Sebulba's pod is. That is a big pod. Remember this guy? You could unlock him in the video game, Neva Key. He's got a weird pod racer where the engines are behind him and there's no tether, so they're just kind of attached. There's Ben Quadraneros, the best pod racer ever. You're welcome, James. He's not as good as Gazgano, though. Gazgano's my favorite. There's the Blockade Runner again. There's the Rebel Cruiser. Just wonderful, wonderful look back at all these old ships. Again, I love this ship so much, too. This doesn't get enough credit. It's red. Why is there only one red ship in all of Star Wars? Fix that. Okay, there's two. There's the B-Wing from Rebels. See? We got two now. We're all good. Republic Gunship. Very nice. Sandcrawler. Very nice. Sharp Spiral. I don't know what you are, but very nice. Sith Infiltrator. This is Maul's ship, the Scimitar. And there's his speeder, which is called Bloodfin. Even I didn't know that. Now I know. Again, don't say that. Say that. Incom T-16 Skyhopper. That's how you have to say it. Slave 1 from the back. Weird angle. And look, they didn't even bother with Slave 2. Notice how some of the ones from the old book have not been making the cut in here because now we're moving on into prequel era. Some of those old ships aren't important anymore. And plus they want to make room for all the Yuuzhan Vong ships you were about to see. Solar Sailor, another great prequel ship that I just absolutely love. Man, the prequel trilogy had so many cool ships. I really like the sequel trilogy too, but their ships were lacking. They were really lacking, especially compared to what the prequels brought to the table. There's a nice speeder bike. There is, this was always hard to remember the name because it's so unwieldy. It's the self-propelled heavy artillery turbo laser. Yeah, say that once fast. Staff. I like the Staff. That is the single trooper aerial platform. Now, those are really cool. Star Destroyer, a great shot of that. I love the lighting in the hangar there. Very cool picture. Swoop bikes. Everybody loves a good swoop. Techno Union Starship. Then we've got our ties. We've got Darth Vader's tie. We've got a tie bomber. Let's see if there's any new ties in here that weren't in the other one. There's the Defender again that Thrawn really wanted to make. There's the tie Executor. There's the Interceptor. Oh, and that's it. And now we are looking at a Yuuzhan Vong ship. Again, look how disturbing that is. It's very Cthulhu-esque. The Yuuzhan Vong's ships are freaky. And there's the Virago. There's Shizor's ship. And the quote is from Dash Rendar saying, I think that's just about the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. Well, Dash, you clearly haven't seen this yet. V-Wing. Another Rebel Alphabet Wing that didn't make the cut anymore. We got the wild card. Kind of a bland looking ship considering what it's called and who it belongs to. Beautiful picture of the X-Wing. Can't go wrong there. And then you got a bunch of Yuuzhan Vong things. Terrifying. That is their warship. Kind of looks like a Mon Cala ship, so it's not as bad. This is freaky. The world ship. That is a whole world, because they don't have a planet, I think. I think they just fly around on their ships, and it looks like a friggin' hurricane. Look how big this is. It's 10 kilometers long. No thank you. I don't want to have to fight them. No thanks. There's a Y-Wing looking great, and the Z-95 Headhunter. And then they have like a nice little bonus appendices where they just give you a short history of war and all the battles. Geonosis, Naboo, Yavin. They just kind of throw these at you for giggles, and then they go with other vehicles and vessels of note. And let's see what didn't make the cut. There's something called Hell's Anvil. That's really cool. See some of these older ones you might recognize from the other book. That's terrifying as well. That is another Yuuzhan Vong thing. You can tell just by looking at them. There's the Slave 2. Clearly not as important this time around. Oh, and here's the chart that shows everybody's speeds. So the blue bar is light speed, and the red bar is, I think, just normal speed. It's called sublight speed. I don't know science. Let's see, where is that ship I was showing you earlier? Where'd you go? I know you're here somewhere. I should just be looking for the big bar instead of just blindly like an idiot. There it is, the Jabitha. So see the light speed? See, it is faster than anything else. The Millennium Falcon is here. It's got a pretty fast hyperdrive, but the Jabitha's is a little bit faster. So that's a thing. That's the thing. There we go. There's the illustrator. And there's some ads for other Jedi things that were happening at this time. And that is the Essential Guide, of vehicles and vessels. And how about a little bonus? Why not? This is the new Essential Guide to Weapons and Technology. It's by the same two people. And I just figured I'd throw this in as well because it's so similar to the vehicle one. It really does go hand in hand. So let's quickly flip through this and see the weapons and technology that these guys brought to the forefront of things. And you'll notice right away again, we got more manufacturers, more logos. I can't get enough of these logos. These are great. Look at this, Freytech Inc. and their logo is like a griffin. How sweet is that? And as we carry on here, we got even more. There's so many. And then they have minor manufacturers. These ones aren't as cool as the other ones I showed you. And then they have other manufacturers. I could be here for hours just looking at the logos. That's a pretty one. What are they called? Miradyne Limited. Remember that name. They're going to be big one day. And there we go. We start off with ranged weapons, the most popular kind of weapons in Star Wars, and you start with the most popular one. You got your blasters, plain and simple. You got your blaster rifle if you're a little bit stronger and you can carry a heavy gun. I can't. I need small guns. I definitely can't shoot an E-Web. I wonder if these specs are what Moff Gideon was quoting in Mandalorian when he set up an E-Web of his own. And there's a bowcaster, which casts bows, I guess. The sonic blaster that the Geonosians use, very, very cool. I love that. Just all these great little guns. That's the projectile gun, so these ones would shoot bullets. I think these are the guns that the Tusken Raiders use when they shoot at the pod racers. And again, all of these pages have these flavor text quotes. Isn't that clever? That's just brings it to life so much more. And you got your thermal detonators and your grenades and whatnot. Misa no have the booma. Here, take them this one. There you go. You got your booma. You got your whatever that is. You got the Yuuzhan Vong weapons again, which are hideous and frightening. I wouldn't want to step on that one in the dark. Just, they throw bugs. They throw bugs at people. That is wretched. I would never, ever fight a Yuuzhan Vong. And now we got the melee weapons. We got our lightsabers. Beautiful. We got some schematics of lightsabers and how they work. You got your sand people sticks. Always a pleasure to see sand people. Vibro knives. You don't see enough knives and bladed weapons in Star Wars. We saw a few in Mandalorian. In fact, my Cara Dune Black series, which is over there, I don't know if you can see it, she comes with a little knife. So I think it's cool that Mandalorian is bringing the bladed weapons back into the swing of things, and I hope that Star Wars keeps that up. That's what the Geonosians used to shock animals. This is a dark stick. It looks like the raptor claw from Jurassic Park. And here we have another Yuuzhan Vong weapon. You can tell it's theirs because it looks like the stuff of nightmares. It's a staff that's also a snake. So this would make Jafar very happy. And then we've got some other melee weapons here, some whips and such. And now you got your Starship and Planetary weapons. You got these things. You got an anti-infantry battery. I remember getting one of these in a booster pack of Star Wars miniatures. And I was really pissed off because with those Star Wars miniatures, it was like trading cards. There was a pack where you got a bunch of commons, some uncommons, and then one rare. And this was my rare. And I remember thinking, oh man, my rare is not like a character or anything. It's this tower with a gun on it. That's just something funny. I remember from my Star Wars miniatures days, which I will also be showing you in the Summer of Legends. But we'll get there when we get there. We got some laser cannons, turbo lasers. That's been around since the Death Star. That's OG. All kinds of glorious stuff. Proton warheads, concussion missiles. I mean, if I was to just not tell you anything about this book and just show you this page and this page, you wouldn't necessarily know I'm talking about Star Wars, would you? Look at these. These just look like regular Earth weapons. So that's what this book is more about. It's really about getting down to the nitty-gritty of the tech. This is really for the tech heads, which I am not, but I still like this book. I love there's the seismic charges that Jango shoots, the best sound in Star Wars, period. There's another thing that I'm going to be seeing in my nightmares, a Gretchen. This is something that the Yuuzhan Vong use. No thank you. I will never fight them, ever. There's a plasma cannon that they use. But these are just things that really dive deep into how the world works from a science standpoint. This really is the sci-fi portion of Star Wars. And now we have our super weapons category, which would be about 50 pages bigger if they had included everything J.J. Abrams made. So there's our Death Star. There's our Death Star 2. It's sad that Death Star 2 doesn't get its own full color page here, but that's okay. There's the Sun Crusher that you can find in the Jedi Academy trilogy. Kip Duran knows all about that. A Galaxy Gun, which is a very boring super weapon, if I'm going to be entirely honest. World Devastators, I think, are very cool. And we got some other things now. Defenses, armor, shield generators. As we go on, it gets grittier and grittier. You move farther away from the cool spaceships and into really tech-heavy things. You got your blast armor, clone trooper armor, my favorite. I love the different color-coded things that the clones do, especially when you get to Generation 3 clones. There's your Stormtrooper armor. There's your Mandalorian armor. The Mandalorians really know how to make armor. There's your breath mask. Yuuzhan Vong armor. I would step out of this gentleman's way if I encountered him. And then we have your Darth Vader armor. Very nice. And now you have additional things like this. And then this part, this might be my favorite part of the book because it's just sort of miscellaneous stuff now. There's the Gillette razor that Qui-Gon uses. It's these little things that are just sort of extra, you know, they don't really fit anywhere. So this part is like a grab bag. It's like a box of chocolates. And yes, I did read this all when I got it as a teenager, but even I have to admit, this stuff is not my favorite stuff of Star Wars. It's probably my least favorite stuff. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't look at this portable scanner and think, wow, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. This is just props at this point. This is like the prop department with story and canon added to it. And I love that aspect. I love the aspect of taking the props and showing how they work. But it's definitely not the part of Star Wars that I am in love with. But I do love this section of the book, like I said, just for how much of a grab bag it is. All these little things that you saw snippets of in the movies, like holocrons, which you don't see snippets of in the movies at all. But we need more holocrons in our lives. Taika Waititi, okay? Are you listening? We need more holocrons. Make that a thing. Just all these little things that just make Star Wars. That's something. And they are just here on display in glorious full color for us to admire. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. There you go. You got your fusion cutters. You got your evaporators, electrobinoculars. This is the miscellany of miscellany. Jetpacks, wonderful. I love this. I love every single one of these pages now. There's our remote. I love the red remote that Rey had in Rise of Skywalker. And this data pad, beautiful. They had tablets in Star Wars before we had tablets. And they had Lobot before we had Lobot. And this beautiful prosthetic hand, cloning. This is the part of the tech that I really like. Just this mishmash grab bag of stuff. And then there's some final schematics. And that is the end of the Essential Guide to Weapons and Technology. And there you have it. Not one, not two, but three very gorgeous Essential Guides for the price of one. Vehicles and technology, you can't go wrong. And I guarantee you, books about vehicles and technology from our world, not as exciting. Probably. I don't know. I'm not speaking from experience. Anyway, my name is Andrew Fantasia. This is the Summer of Legends. We are continuing ahead. Next week, we're getting up close and personal with some characters from Star Wars yore. Yore meaning not important anymore. I'll see you then on high ground here on the Summer of Legends. Until then, scumbags, may the force of others be with you.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.